We're more than talk. The Good Neighbor Network, FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna, and online at WGNSradio.com. This is the Roundtable. A look at the news, views, politics, and people that are shaping Rutherford County.
Good morning, this is Bill Krause on the Roundtable on a wonderful, beautiful Thursday morning. You know, every morning is a wonderful, beautiful morning because it's a chance to start a new day with a new way and make new friends and create happiness among all. We are very fortunate to have this morning with us a guest that's going to bring a dimension to education that we really haven't talked about in the past. And this is a gentleman that decided to go back to college after he was working for a number of years, family, and so forth. And it's my really personal pleasure to introduce to you this morning Mr. Jeremy Reed. Jeremy, good morning.
Good morning, sir. That's hard to follow an introduction like that.
Well, now let's hear all about Jeremy, where you were born, where you were raised, how life was, family, and so forth. And then we want to get into what triggered you off to go into education.
Well, I was born in Rutherford County Hospital, and I was raised in Unionville, lived there most of my life. I was fortunate to apprentice as a fuel injection technician when I was 22 years old, and I'm still doing that present day.
Same firm?
Yes, sir. I've been at Dixie Diesel for a long time. Give them a good little plug there.
Mm-hmm.
We try to do a good job.
And family?
Well, I am married with 3 children. All are adults. Still have one living at home. And 3 grandchildren.
Wow. And what was it, a particular incident, experience? Well, let's go back before you even ask that question. Talk about your academic journey that you decided to take almost at middle age.
Well, it started before then. I felt a little stagnant, and I had almost went to Columbia State in 1999. Had some family issues going on, and I just put it on the shelf. Mm-hmm. You know, sometimes you just have to prioritize. I had young children and life in a disarray, per se, so I had to wait, and it just was kind of always there. I enjoyed reading and studying.
Any particular
things.
area of reading? Fiction, nonfiction, history?
Everything. History, war history. Mm-hmm. Let's see. I read a lot about politics. Got really interested in politics in my late 20s. And went to studying a lot. And I don't know, it was just kind of an evolution. Mm-hmm. And finally I decided in early 2016 to take the placement exam at Columbia State. And signed up for 2 classes that fall. And I was... Gosh, my heart was pounding out of my chest. I was 43 years old. I hadn't been inside a classroom for 25 years. Mm-hmm. But I succeeded. I did very well, and had a lot of encouragement from my professor, and, well, both of them. And I took 3 classes in the spring, and that's when I met you.
Right. And that was when I had first began as an adjunct at Columbia State. And I can always recall you were such a bright light and bright star in that class and participating and totally not just eager to learn, but eager to participate in discussion and eager to share your observations and insights.
Well, I appreciate that. By the time I was at that age, and even now, I'm playing for keeps.
Exactly.
This is, it's hard enough when you're older to learn. And I can tell the difference between the time I met you and now. It's not getting easier.
Oh,
but it's just
sorry.
It's just an act of determination and will.
How do you manage your time? Do you set a time aside? Well, let me back up before. There are a lot of men and women who are in similar situations and opportunities like you, And many of them say, yes, I better go back to school. Yes, I better get a degree. Yes, I better make my educational segment of my resume stand out. Yes, if I want to be promoted. Yes, if I want to get a new job and so forth. And they may be saying, yes, this is correct. Yes, this is right. But they never do. Was there a particular time that you just said, this is it, in 2016, I'm going ahead?
Well, yes. I mean, after the first semester, I gained some confidence, and I felt like I was on the right path. And as far as I think the original question, circling back to time management, as soon as I figure that out, I'll let you know. But
And the world would like to know, too.
I'm sure it's not easy. I know my wife; she's very supportive. Michelle, she's just beacon of light to me and just bubbly. And ever since we married,
How many years has it been?
we've been married 18 years.
Oh, great.
Yes. I always said that I have to keep her feet on the ground, but she keeps me out from under it.
We were saying off the air before we came on, one of the most fascinating legends and legacies that you can share and provide to your grandchildren, I'll hit the grandchildren age, is, and you're currently at MTSU, is when you go through graduation, despite the fact that it's a huge graduation ceremony, it's very, very impressive. But when your three grandchildren, and they're 11, 10, and 5, those are the ages, and they see their grandpa up on the stage in cap and gown, walking across, and as they hear the university announce and awarded the bachelor's degree in political science, Mr. Jeremy Reed, and everyone applauds and yells out. That's an experience that they will never forget. You're creating a legacy in their mind that no matter whether they decide to go to college, whether they decide to pursue education, that sight will be in their minds. I always remember once a graduation ceremony that I was part of, still in Southern California when I was there. And there was a lady there who decided to go back to college when she was 70 years old. And she wanted to get the degree as a motivation for her grandchildren and great-grandchildren. And I know we had the situation that she had reservations for attendance at the graduation of 18 people. And I said, 18 people? She says, I'm bringing my grandchildren and great-grandchildren. They've got to see their granny get the diploma. So everything was great, and they were there. It was a wonderful event. A couple of weeks later, she comes back to the college. They said the college made a mistake on my diploma. They put the wrong major, the wrong degree on it. And I looked and said, absolutely. I says, we'll get it corrected. She says, no, I'm coming back to college for my second degree so I can have my grandchildren and great-grandchildren have to come to graduation and see me in cap and gown the second time and re-emphasize the point how important education is. Do you set a certain time in your schedule to read requirements, write, prepare, study, cram, if you may, for exams, and so forth?
A lot of it feels like cramming.
Do you do it early in the morning? I mean, you're working, I'm assuming, more than 40 hours a week in your type of work?
I do. Sometimes I will read on my lunch break. When I get home, I'll study for a while, and then sometimes I'll just stop and just eat dinner with my wife, just to unplug for a moment, and I'll stay up till probably 10 or 11 o'clock. It just depends on the course load that I have. It is, I mentioned before, I mean, it's management of time. It's
and energy.
energy. That's...
How do you survive at work when it's the 15th week of the semester and it's finals, and you've got to study and prepare, and you're taking an average of 4 classes, 4 classes a semester?
I'm taking 4 a semester right now.
12 units.
And
how do you study for 4 finals, and they're back to back to back to back?
Oh, goodness. I'll tell you, I was whipped. And I looked like a zombie, probably.
Do you eat lots of chocolate and get that sugar high?
No,
Nope.
I'm just not a big sweet eater.
Even in times of final pressure?
Just lots of caffeine. Coffee, Diet Mountain Dew, intravenously if I could.
I always remember in one school I was at California, it was the master's program in public administration, and the dean of the school had been very traditional and believed in comprehensive examinations at the conclusion of the degree program. And it was a 5-test comprehension exam. 2 on Friday, 3 hours each, 2 on Saturday, 3 hours each, and 1 on Sunday, 3 hours in the afternoon. So students, really the make or break of graduation was not necessarily passing their classes they took on the journey up to the degree, but passing the comprehensive exams and getting a passing grade on all 5. And I always remember I was proctoring one, and a young lady, former student of mine, came in, and she had a 12-pack of full-strength Coca-Cola, and she had a dozen donuts in a box. And I said, "That's awfully nice of you. You're bringing the donuts and the Coke for everybody else." She says, "No, that's all for me." Believe it or not, every day she went through the 12 bottles of full-strength Coke and the full 12 donuts, eating for her energy high. And she passed the comps. Now, I'm not going to say, Jeremy, I want you to go out and do that
Wow.
for your exams.
Yeah, my heart doctor wouldn't want to hear about that.
Well, you better invite him to graduation, that your cardiologist is saying, "Hey, okay, you're okay." How does and this is always a question that adult learners, people who have decided to go back to school, have to ask. How does your employer feel about you working toward your, now at this point, your bachelor's degree?
Wow.
Supportive, obviously, subtly, maybe deep-seated, saying, if Jeremy gets that degree, Jeremy's been with us nearly 30 years. Is he going on another tour?
Well,
Don't want to put you on the spot, of course.
no, that's. Well, I think he tries to be, but it's one of those things where I've been there a long, long time, and someone like that can't be easily replaced. So it's like, oh my gosh, he's doing it again.
Do you
Because I took a year off
okay.
between Columbia State and MTSU, and I kind of fought the urge to say, okay, I did it. I got this associate's degree. I proved to myself that I could do this, and just let that be. And then I just could not rest.
I understand.
I
You
wanted to
got the
come
bug.
back.
You got the bug.
Right. And, it's like trying to put toothpaste back in a tube. You just can't do it.
So the next best step is put it on your teeth. Mm-hmm. Exactly. Let's talk about, what are you majoring in at MTSU? What's your field of interest? Don't necessarily expect you to predict what you want to do with your degree. What are future degrees as a potential?
Well, right now, as I was in Columbia State, I'm studying political science with an emphasis on pre-law. I started out as a minor in history because I really enjoy studying history, but it's more as a hobby. After talking with some classmates, young people even, they really influenced me and pointed out the classes that are in CGA per se are more suited to accompany this than history. So I changed, and I think it was a good move. But I'm hoping to take the LSAT next month. I've signed up. I got to go to Nashville and do that on the 12th.
To the test itself.
Yes, the LSAT.
How much preparation time are you going to need to get ready for that?
I won't be as ready by any stretch of the imagination as I would like to be, because I'm actually attending a couple of summer classes as we speak.
Wow. You mentioned talking, sharing, getting information, getting recommendations from, quote, young people. How is it, a person in their 40s, how are you communicating, acquainting, working closely with people 20 years or more younger than you are in a class?
Well, it's actually been enjoyable. I mean, I always wondered how people would regard me, because when you met me, I'd come after work, I had diesel fuel.
Right.
I
always remember the aroma.
Yes.
No, not really.
Yes.
Only teasing there, Jeremy.
Yes. Yeah, essence of diesel manhood, I guess. But, I was like, well, are people going to wonder, wow, did this guy get lost on his way home from the shop?
Yep.
But
made the wrong turn in Columbia or
Sure.
Franklin. You had a good commute, though. You were living in Unionville at the time?
Yes.
And two, you were going to Franklin, the Williamson campus.
Yes.
So you were just the time that you were having to earmark, besides work, besides studying, besides class time and so forth, just the amount of time on the road.
Right. It's challenging. I live 36 miles from my work, and then I would come to Franklin, which was not that bad. It's a lot harder when I do have a class on campus at MTSU. I mean, from where I work to the campus over here is 54 miles.
Wow.
And I have to get after it because, you're doing that on rush hour, and if there's a wreck, oh my goodness.
Oh, it just sets you by. And are you having problems finding a place to park?
No, not really.
Oh, you're good then. Okay,
Well,
something has changed.
The daytime class people would be leaving.
Okay.
And I could actually even park in places I wasn't supposed to during the day, but after 4:30 or 5, they weren't enforcing anymore. So...
What have been some of your favorite classes? I'm curious, not necessarily, and don't need to talk about the faculty, I mean, good and indifferent and so forth, but what were some of your favorite classes that triggered off this passion to proceed toward a degree objective?
Well, yours was, for one
Well,
thing. I mean, I'm not just buttering your biscuit for you, but in your class, it wasn't just structured or anything in particular. You wanted to talk about the active issues, and I remember the one night we were discussing, I think, immigration, how people had rights as soon as they set foot on soil. And due process was entitled, as I recall.
Correct.
And we were discussing, and passionately at that, about what... Gosh, I've slept since then. I'm sorry. I'm trying to word this correctly. I'm like, well, we have to democratically decide things. And you said, well, is that the best we can do? And I'm like, I don't know. Is it? Well, that's what we're here to find out, is what you said.
Right.
And the way you taught that, instead of just teaching it as a class, you were wanting me to think as someone who was actively participating in the process.
Exactly.
And that meant a lot to me. And it was one of my favorite moments. It was like the, eureka.
Okay. And gold at the bottom of the rainbow.
Right. And you can just see, it's all clear. We're not just talking about this stuff and not doing something. You're part of the process, and that's what we're here to talk about. And that's what ultimately has to be done for the sake of the nation.
Well, my basic philosophy is that I'm not in a classroom to teach, and that gets people upset, from administration to department heads and so forth. I'm here to provide the opportunity for you to discover, and as providing the material and providing the scenario, providing the question, providing the issue, and you discover the conclusion. If you were making the decision, what would you do, and what would be the ramifications of what you did? You can think of the immediate gratification of a political decision, that you're going to make people happy. You're going to make the voters say, yes, that's my candidate, that's my person. But have you also considered the long-term implications? Have you considered what effects it will have financially, emotionally, socially, philosophically, and so forth? One of the areas, and I think it ties in with an adult education, how much have you learned being able to secure information that is correct, logical, and legitimate in the political process today? That's probably one of our greatest issues, is we're making decisions based sometimes on wrong information, false information, or half correct information.
Well, I think that's a very valid point. I think politicians act nowadays for the short-term goal. You know, it's like giving people a sugar high just to secure more votes rather than, as you said, the long-term ramifications. We don't play the long game anymore.
Right.
And
there's a reason for it. And you know what the reason is? Life is changing so rapidly. Just when you've set out a journey and a pattern and a route to follow, the events and activities of life, society, the world have dramatically changed. So you're making decisions today that 5 years from now you have absolutely no idea what the implications will be in the world and society. And I think it's one of those areas that with social media, with technology, you take a look. Every day there's something different. I think the one story I saw the other day was a company that now makes chicken, but it's not really out of the chicken, and it's an artificial chicken that tastes just like fried chicken you'd have that your mother made on a Sunday afternoon.
Goodness.
And you begin to think, even artificial chicken. We'll be right back. We're on a wonderful visit with Jeremy Reed, who is one of those adult learners who has decided and successfully decided to go back to college, not only to enhance his future, but serve as a role model for the Reed family.
Blast into big July fun all summer long. You won't need sparklers, spinners, Roman candles, or any other fancy fireworks. You'll be rocketing toward explosive top prizes of up to $500,000 with the all-new July Instant Games from the Tennessee Lottery. Hurry in and pick out your favorites today. Find them at your nearest Tennessee Lottery retailer. Only from the Tennessee Lottery. Game-changing fun. Please play responsibly.
Looking for a charming home close to downtown and MTSU? Look no further than this 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 0-lot line at 1341 Sharon Court. This home features a spacious living room, an open kitchen, and a primary suite on the main floor. It could be perfect for a family or a couple who wants to live in the middle of everything while still in a private neighborhood. Call for a showing today, 615-542-1915. I'm Chip Walters with Exit Realty Bob Lamb & Associates.
Hey guys, if you've noticed a lack of energy, motivation, and drive, it could be low T. Schedule your health assessment at Low T Center, where they now offer the convenience of monitored self-inject at-home testosterone treatments for only $155 a month cash pay or covered by most health insurance. If you don't live near a Low T Center or just need the convenience of at-home treatment, Low T Center makes it easy to get started on treatment. Only your first 2 visits are in person. Go to lowtcenter.com now to book online. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare. TCAT has a brand new course.
I'm going to be an emergency medical technician.
For future emergency medical technicians.
Thanks to TCAT, I'm going to become an EMT.
It's a 300-hour program that can be completed in about 4 months.
I'm becoming an EMT.
The new program at the Tennessee College of Applied Technology paves the pathway for you to become an EMT.
I'll be an EMT.
You can learn the skills to become the next EMT through the new TCAT program in Murfreesboro.
I appreciate TCAT.
Visit tcatmurfreesboro.edu and click programs.
It's Good Neighbor Events, brought to you by Cardinal Realty Solutions, the law offices of John Day, and AmeriCare Pest Control.
This is a paid legal ad.
When a family member is lost as a result of someone else's negligence, the grief can be unbearable. It also leaves you with a lot of questions like, how did this happen? Who's responsible? And is my family going to be okay? That's a lot to go through, but with the law offices of John Day on your side, you don't have to go through any of it alone. We understand what you're going through, and we have the experience to get the answers, justice, and compensation your family deserves. Call the law offices of John Day.
The WGNS Good Neighbor Events. Officials with the Middle Point landfill will share their community vision on Monday, July 17th. The event to highlight the landfill's future will be at Dot and Lucy's in Las Casas from 5 p.m. to 7, again on July the 17th at Dot and Lucy's. And now, with a closer look at local events, here is WGNS's Bart Walker.
The popular Movies Under the Stars runs 3 more weeks this summer with the Murfreesboro Parks and Recreation Department. This week's free movie, Lyle Lyle, Crocodile. The Taste of Rutherford will be Saturday night, July 22nd at Oakland's Mansion. Get with Main Street, Murfreesboro for more information about A Taste of Rutherford. Saturday night, July 22nd at Oakland's Mansion. Don't forget there's a grief support meeting every Wednesday at the St. Clair Senior Center. Don't throw away old glory. Bring your tattered American flag to WGNS and let the girls from BSA Troop 2019 at Trinity United Methodist Church retire it with dignity. If you want to list something on WGNS Good Neighbor events, let us know about it, and we'll be happy to do that. Those are WGNS Good Neighbor events.
Good Neighbor weather.
We'll see a few spotty showers and thunderstorms possible late this afternoon. Otherwise, partial sunshine develops, a high in the low 90s. Tonight, chance for rain and storms, low of 73. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Vujicic, Ski on News Radio WGNS. Currently, it's 79.
Broadcasting from the Middle Tennessee Electric Studios. Take control of your account management and energy consumption with the MyMTE app. Download from the App Store and manage your account, improve your energy habits, and more. MTE, serving to make life better since 1936.
You don't have hot dogs or apple pie or no Chevrolet to drive, but we have some hickory smoked wings you're just dying to try. You'll try them, you'll like them, you'll give some to a friend. So on a dare, just stop on by and bring in a friend. Slick Pig Barbecue, 1920 East Main.
This is the Roundtable from News Radio WGNS on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna, and worldwide at WGNSradio.com.
Hello again, this is Bill Krause on the next segment of the Roundtable on a wonderful, thrilling Thursday morning. And we're visiting this morning with Mr. Jeremy Reed. And Jeremy should be the poster boy of men and women who have graduated from high school, went on to life, had a family, are working, have a life, but decided to come back to college. And we're very proud of Jeremy because not only did he do extremely well when he graduated in community college, got his AA degree, but decided to go back to MTSU and is completing work on his bachelor's degree in political science. But I do have to ask you this question, and I guess I'm almost going to quote one of your sons, politics. Have any interest for you?
It does. I keep
Oh,
up with
go
it a
for
lot.
it. Go. We'll spend the next 25 minutes talking about we're going to campaign for Jeremy Reed for what office?
None, because I don't want all my skeletons coming out. Yeah, that is, whew.
Did that ever interest you? You know, that's always a question I ask in a midterm, and you may remember this. What would it take to get you into the political process, which is so needed for men and women of all ages and all backgrounds and all interests to get involved and participit?
A gun to my head?
Oh, well, we don't want to go to that
kidding.
far. Yes, yes.
Oh, goodness. It interests me. I just don't think I have the stomach for it.
Well, you know, an interesting thing, and we've talked about this before on the Roundtable, you could particularly say, you know, I want to be into the political process. I want to seek office. I want to serve the public, whether it's on a local level, whether it's on a county level, even on a state or federal level. I want to serve the public. And yet I'm going to go into a nasty campaign. I've got big shoulders. They can attack me. They can throw mud at me. They can do whatever they want, and I will come out even greater. But the greatest issue we never read about is what impact does it have on children who are young or grandchildren. And if you can imagine, let's say Jeremy Reed is running for governor of the state of Tennessee, And
oh, goodness.
Yes, we got you promoted. And people, it's a miserable, nasty campaign, both in media as well as in door-to-door. And you have grandchildren who are going to school, and they are now I won't say attacked. I can't use the word attacked, but their friends, their fellow classmates, the name Reed, isn't he running for governor, and so forth. And as a result, then they start getting taunted. They start getting teased.
Your grandpa is worse than Trump.
Yeah. Well, could be worse than many other people.
Well.
And you know, it's kind of interesting. The one tragedy about your last name is that one of the most well-known murderers was the...
oh, great.
Reed was his last name, and he did the Captain D homicides in Clarksville and in Nashville, and Paul Reed. So you may say, are you related to Paul Reed, Mr. Reed?
Somebody might make that.
But you know what? You know what's
even
so
if it's
neat?
Not true.
Isn't that a wonderful name to be a student? You do a lot of reading.
You sure do.
So isn't Reed a perfect name for a student who is completing work? Let's talk about when do you anticipate graduating?
Right now, I'm on track for fall of next year.
Fall of 20.
I should be able to have 121 hours.
Please tell me what it's like to graduate during a presidential election. You're going to be in November 2024.
Oh, my goodness. It might be very colorful. I mean, when I met you, Trump had just been inaugurated, and people were losing their collective minds.
Yes. Never gained them back. I should say that.
Fair enough.
What kind of law at this point, and I know it's early, what kind of law interests you? You're doing all the foundation work. You're doing everything from constitutional to legal writing. You're doing torts, which you may not ultimately like, and so forth. But what particularly at this stage, and is certainly not committed at this stage, really has an interest to you?
Well, the constitutional law I keep going back to, and maybe as far as public service, that might be a good field to be in as a constitutional lawyer. But I haven't had Con Law 1 and 2 yet, but I'm looking forward to that. Probably going to do that in the spring. The class filled up. I was going to go ahead and hit it in the fall, and the class is filled up. And I took law and policy. Now, criminal law, since my professor in torts and legal writing and research, Darwin Colston, who's an attorney here at Mitchell in Murfreesboro here, he practices criminal law, and he said something to me that stuck out because he was in class, discussing real world, what's it like to really be a lawyer, not as a concept, but in practice. And I really enjoyed him. He talked about criminal law, and he was saying, what's it like to defend somebody and they're guilty, and you want to maybe crawl across the table and strangle them yourself. But your job as a criminal defense attorney, due process is guaranteed by the Constitution. So your constitutional duty is to give that person the best defense that they can have. And even if the prosecution has got it right and that person's convicted, you fulfilled your duty to the Constitution. You didn't lose. Your job wasn't to get somebody guilty off. Your job was to fulfill the role of the Constitution. And that really had an impact on me almost as much as, being in class with you.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I don't know if I ever got to that bottom line.
No, you made a big impact on my thought process when
Here's
I was in your class.
Here's a question that for the many people out there who have completed degrees as adult learners, or are considering degrees as adult learners, or need a little push and a little motivation to complete adult learning in the academic level. Did you ever find yourself, and you can be totally honest or not on this one, that this teacher that I have is 20 years younger than I am, and this teacher's worldly experience is just a minimum percentage of what I've seen and heard and gone through life. Why am I learning from this person when my worldly knowledge and my worldly experience exceeds this person by 20 years?
Well, that person has something to offer. That person may have different life experiences than I do, and just this person went ahead. How do I put this? Went ahead and did it right out of school, which my parents desperately tried to get me to do, and I was just disillusioned about learning at the time. If I would have went, I would have washed out. I have no doubt.
Like many people who are undecided and undirected at the age of 17 or 18.
Right.
Exactly.
I mean, in raising my children, and I mean, I don't want to get off on a tangent with education.
Please do.
It's like children now, they expect them to know who they want to be, have their life mapped out when they're in 8th grade.
Exactly.
We had a meeting with our kids when they were about to start high school. Are you going to be on the college path, or are you going to be on the trade school path? They had to decide right then.
Or you're going to be on a path at all.
Fair enough.
Yes.
And you know, how many children really know who they are at 14 years old?
And should they? Should they enjoy life of discovery rather than life of prediction, which is so much of the case here? How do friends of yours, longtime friends, or have you ever been to a reunion in your high school? All 40-some people who graduate from high school?
Well, there was about 20 of us. It was just, 2021, we had our 30-year reunion.
And how did they feel about their colleague in the middle of a 4-year degree program?
They were like very supportive.
Great.
You know,
great.
Small group of people like that, you've known each other all your life, and I guess that's one interesting dynamic.
Living in a small community and
yes.
Following people, etc. You know, it's kind of fascinating to watch how people who you thought you could predict what their lives would be like at 15, 16, 17, and you take a look 30 years later, did they follow the journey you thought they would be following? And in your case, you know, there you are. You never say, I'm at the top of the mountain, I'm at the pinnacle of life, and I'm not going to go ahead any further. You know, I love to tell this story, and I have told it before on the round table, of a lady who recently had lost her husband. She was in her early 80s, and she was in grief, and her family said, go back to school, at least, you know, see the world. And it took a while, apparently, of convincing her, and she decided to go back to school. She enrolled at Motlow State Community College. I was her first teacher. I always remember that. And she hadn't been in a classroom in 60 years, if you want to look at it, close to 60 years. And she was as nervous as a pigeon on a pole. Just, how do I do this, and so forth. And I took this upon myself as a commitment and obligation. I'm going to make life so attractive for this lady in school that she will be a great student at Motlow State. And I'm not sure right now, I haven't talked to her recently, but I believe she either has or is in the process of graduating. And as I said to you earlier, and I told her too, make sure your grandchildren, great-grandchildren, if there are any, watch their grandmother graduate from Motlow State with that cap and gown. Tremendous experience. We'll be right back in a delightful visit with a gentleman who should be the poster boy of adult education, going back to school, balancing life, and succeeding in life through education. This is Bill Krause on the Round Table.
French's the name to trust. French's depend on us. French's. French's Shoes and Boots, 1837 South Church Street in Murfreesboro.
Do you suffer from peripheral neuropathy in your hands or feet, burning pain, balance problems, and decreased quality of life? Magnolia Medical Center can help.
This is Dr. David Morris with Magnolia Medical Center. We're in the Ascend building near the fountains in Murfreesboro.
Online at magnoliamedicalcenters.com.
Here at Bud's Tire, we make buying Michelin tires simpler. I'm Allison Mitchell with Bud's Tire Pros. We offer a straightforward approach to service, including nationwide warranties with every purchase. Stop in today to see our full lineup of Michelin and BF Goodrich tires. For whatever you drive, Michelin and BF Goodrich have a tire to fit any need. Bud's Tire Pros, hassle-free, guaranteed. We're located on East Main Street, exactly 3 miles from the town square, 1 mile past Rutherford Boulevard. Visit us online at budstirepros.tn.com.
We're visiting with Jennifer Sanchez, manager of Steered Straight 2 Furniture and Thrift at 1007 Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard.
You're not just walking into just a big warehouse, you're walking into rooms. We've got a media room, we've got a boutique room, we've got a vintage room, a furniture area, kitchen, all that.
Steered Straight 2 Furniture and Thrift.
Every day you go in there, I promise you it's changing.
Steered Straight 2 Furniture and Thrift, 1007 Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard. Online at steeredstraightthriftstore.org.
This is the Roundtable from News Radio WGNS on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna, and worldwide at WGNSradio.com.
Hello again, Bill Krause in our final segment on this Thursday morning of the Roundtable, having a delightful and really interesting visit with Mr. Jeremy Reed. And Jeremy is one of those people that we use as the pinnacle of people who decide to go back to school and try to balance it. I have to ask you, I'm going to get in your head on this question.
Oh, dear.
When you're at work, do you think of school? And when you're at school, do you think of work?
Absolutely.
And do they conflict ever?
Not at all. I'm just kidding. It does.
Were you ever doing something at work, a particular function, something that was a physical function, repairing, running equipment, mechanical, and you were thinking of the exam that you had, a midterm exam scheduled for that evening, and you were thinking more of constitutional law and what it would be on a essay than what you were doing right at the immediate moment?
Well, that hasn't happened quite to that extent.
Yet.
Where,
yes,
I haven't had an accident because I was thinking, because I'm trying to be mindful of that. I've done a lot of this so long, some of it's muscle memory.
Mm-hmm.
But it, I can be like, snap out of it. I have to tell myself to, and focus. It's not terribly dangerous what I do, but if I don't pay attention, I might have a calibration test stand with 20 horsepower, 3-phase motor turning and don't want to stick my finger in something, right. And, but
it can be difficult.
It's difficult. It sometimes feels like I'm walking in two worlds.
How do you balance love in life with family? And with 3 active grandchildren and children, how do you balance life with work and with school? You've got a full plate on your table.
Well, the honest answer is not well. I don't spend as much time with my grandkids as I would like to. I don't get to hang out with my wife as much as I want to, but then I don't focus on my work and probably do as well as I could.
Mm-hmm.
There's only so many hours and minutes in a day.
Exactly.
And something's got to give. It's just making quality when you do have the time, do enjoy the time. We just had the grandchildren this weekend and went to the bowling alley with them.
Oh, did you do well?
My wife beat me.
Is that a usual experience?
It is. Michelle, she likes to, she's in a bowling league, credit union she works at, so she's trying to turn pro on me.
Oh, okay.
I gave her a run for her money. I got within 2 points of her.
Well, that's giving a good close. Is that same competitive spirit, do you want to outdistance or do you serve as a mentor to the children. I shouldn't use that term. The children that are in school with you. You're probably a father figure or an older brother figure or an uncle figure to many of the 17, 18, 19, and 20-year-olds that are in school with you.
I have experienced some of that more often at Columbia State than now, because, we were taking freshman and sophomore classes, obviously, there.
Sure.
But, my thing was, two young people I met, there was a young lady I had met, and she just was tearing herself apart because she didn't have her life mapped out, Oh my gosh, I'm 20, I don't have it figured out yet.
Wow.
And I'm like, well, I'm 45 and I don't either.
Yes.
So it's okay. Discover who you are.
I don't want to be tracking you 30 years from now. Well, I could say, no, I shouldn't say that. I would like to track you 30 years from now. But what I would be very curious, and I don't know if there's medical studies, scientific studies on this, but it would be interesting if there aren't. If you have your mind going through this physical challenge, ongoing, balancing work, balancing personal family life, and balancing school, studying, reading, absorbing, being able to translate what you have read and what you have learned to what you can write and what you can speak, and seeing what that does to the brain in older life. And I would be curious whether, quote, the highly involved person in the academic world or the studying world, or the person that continually is reading, the person that's continually studying, the person that's continually seeking answers to the problems and challenges we have in this world, does it give them mental exercise to maintain high-level brain power when they're in their 70s, 80s, and even 90s? And that would be very curious if there's a correlation between that activity. If you were telling somebody else, a colleague of yours, same age, hadn't gone back to school, has a lot of the same dynamics you have in terms of the 20-plus years of working and the years of family and the years of going out on cruises. You love to go out on cruises. What would you tell somebody who is contemplating going back to school but hasn't quite made up their mind?
Well, I would try to encourage. What are your goals here? What do you want to accomplish? But don't get caught up in thinking I'm washed up or too old to do this. It can be scary. I was terrified.
Sure.
But you may surprise yourself, and you owe it to yourself to do that.
It allows you to look at not just the detail, look at the global view. Look, whether it's politics or whether it's finance, whether it's investment, whether it's science, look at the total view. I will always say to young men and young women, and I guess I have to not just limit it to young men and young women, necessarily don't look for goals. Always look for opportunities. And you're looking for opportunities not just to job jump. You've been in the same place nearly 30 years.
Yes.
But basically to look for opportunities for continued moving into a new stage of your life. And never stop. The people that I have talked to, visited, friends, people in their 80s and 90s, the one bottom line secret that they all have, they're still looking forward to tomorrow. And tomorrow may be a day, tomorrow may be a week, but they're looking forward to tomorrow. Yes, we want to treasure our past, we want to treasure our memories, we want to treasure our legacy and our history. But once you stop looking at tomorrow, you pretty much have guaranteed there will not be a tomorrow.
Well, I think you touch on something very important there, because the journey is as important as the destination.
Correct.
The journey is what teaches us about who we are as people. I believe that. And I think it's very important to always learn, and that's another thing. I told my kids this, especially my daughter. I always tried to impress. I always told them, just continue to learn. Always learn, because the day you stop learning is the day you start becoming useless.
Correct. To yourself as well as to the world around you.
Right. And as you touched on before, look how fast the world is changing. I'm interested in studying law. Now look at ChatGPT. Is an attorney not going to need somebody to write their stuff anymore?
Exactly.
I mean, Professor Colston and I was talking about that at class one night, and he was telling me about it, and I had never heard of it. And you can just plug in a few little details, and it'll write you a beautifully written essay.
Is this called AI?
Yes,
Yes.
ChatGPT. And now, when you're in classes, they've already updated their academic policies to include, cheating is using that too, just to make sure it is stated on the form. It's just, look at how fast it's changing, and...
Do you want to give a shout out before we close to the chair of the Political Science International Relations Department at MTSU, who has had a significant influence?
Of course, Dr. Amy Atchison, if you're listening, I hope you're doing well and having a good day. I look forward to being able to see you again the next time I have the opportunity. And always appreciated your taking time to talk with me when I needed it.
Well, when we had Dr. McPhee here several months ago, president of MTSU, I think the one thing that he shared, and I think this is so important, is that faculty members are there not just to teach. Faculty members are not just there to motivate. Faculty members are not just there to, quote, pass knowledge on to students. They're there to create a spirit and create an environment and create a love, if you may, of life and a love of the future. And in my particular area of political science, the love of our nation and a love of our institutions. Sure, we have issues. Sure, we have problems. But if you break away from the fact that, yes, and your emphasis is the Constitution, yes, that Constitution is a document that has served as a roadmap for 240 plus years, and what that roadmap has done for our lives. And it is so important for poli-sci majors, so important for law school majors, so important for every citizen to keep in mind that that Constitution must be protected and must be served.
Yes, sir.
And at this particular point, if I were to see you a year from today, would you have any different outlook, or would you be saying, I have only a few more months till I graduate? Would you be looking with great anticipation?
I'm hoping for just improved outlook, just to continue on this journey. And, while I'm at it, I discover more about myself as we go on. And I've been doing that now, refining and sussing out who I am in these classes. It's been very helpful, and the faculty at MTSU has been great. I got to give a shout out to Dr. Jennifer Woodward too. She's been a great help and influence to me as well. If you're listening, hey, Dr. Woodward.
Well, I will say, if they're not listening, share the podcast with them just before grades are to be awarded.
There you go.
Not necessarily the best way. As you're around younger people during the school year, have you gotten acclimated to their social media? Have you gotten acclimated to their insights and perceptions of life? Who's entertainers today? What's music like? What's the literature like? What's the world like? Are they optimistic? Are they pessimistic? What has been your general relationship with fellow students if you're talking about life?
Honestly, to be fair, I don't have a lot of relationships outside of the classroom for my own personal reasons.
Time is one.
Well, time is one, absolutely. But I guess when you're around young people, it's easy to want to start feeling young again yourself. And,
sure.
The next thing you know, I'm hanging out with people instead of my wife, who I want to be hanging out with the most, so to speak. And it's just like, my wife say, hey, we went out for coffee after class, and my wife, well, who was there?
Yes.
All the girls from Hooters. No, I wouldn't say that.
No. I don't think that would be too rewarding.
That wouldn't be very clever now on my part, would it? But no, it's just a principle of mine.
And it's kind of interesting. I think this would be our concluding comment. With all the years I've taught and all the different schools and different programs from the AA degree to the PhD program, I guess I have to measure optimism versus pessimism. And I guess the world is we've got to be optimistic about tomorrow. No matter what we face today, we've got to be optimistic about tomorrow. Jeremy Reed, it's been a great, great pleasure to have you here this morning, and keep up the great work. And may you this morning have been an inspiration to other men and women to say, back to school. It's there waiting for you. See you next Thursday. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.